In the quiet suburbs of Marlow, Indiana, where nothing exciting ever seemed to happen, a group of teenagers decided to test a story they found online. It was October 26, 2006, and the weather had just begun to turn cold. Leaves danced across the streets, and every house seemed wrapped in early Halloween decorations. It felt like the perfect night for something spooky. The story they found was called The Midnight Game. Supposedly, it was an old pagan ritual meant to punish those who disrespected the gods. Over time, it became a kind of dare, a game passed around online forums, whispered in middle school cafeterias, and forgotten by adults who assumed it was just another internet hoax. But for Jared Collins, age 16, and his three friends, Mason, Alyssa, and Ty, it felt like a challenge. They didn't believe in curses or spirits. It was just a game, like Bloody Mary or the Ouija board. Nothing would happen. They were sure of it. They chose Jared's house, since his parents were out of town for the weekend. His house had a long hallway, plenty of rooms, and most importantly, no nosy neighbors. They printed out the rules around 10:30 p.m. and began gathering what they needed: a candle, a drop of their own blood, paper and pens, matches, and salt. The ritual had to start exactly at midnight. Each person was supposed to write their full name on a piece of paper, prick their finger with a needle, and place one drop of blood on the paper. Then they were to light a candle, place the paper in front of a wooden door, knock exactly 22 times, and open the door at the final knock, right at 12 a.m. Once that was done, the Midnight Man was said to enter the house. The rules were strict. You had to keep your candle lit at all times. If it went out, you had 10 seconds to relight it. If you failed, you had to surround yourself with a circle of salt and stay inside it until 3:33 a.m. And under no circumstances were you allowed to leave the house. The group laughed as they set up the ritual. Jared, being the most skeptical, went first. He knocked 22 times, opened the door, and closed it slowly. Nothing happened. One by one, the others followed. By 12:05 a.m., they were sitting on the living room floor, candles in hand, trying not to fall asleep. At first, it was boring. They wandered through the house with their candles, pretending to spook each other. Ty even jumped out from behind a curtain with a bedsheet over his head. Everyone laughed. But then, around 12:47 a.m., Alyssa's candle went out. She gasped, immediately trying to relight it with a match. The first match broke. The second fizzled. On the third match, the candle came back to life. They all stood still for a second. The air suddenly felt colder. The kind of cold that didn't match the room, like it came from the inside of your bones. Jared shrugged it off. Just the power of suggestion, he said. They moved on. Then it happened again. Ty's candle flickered violently and died. He scrambled to light it, but his hands were shaking. Alyssa yelled for him to draw the salt circle. He dropped the box trying to open it. Jared helped him while Mason stood watch, his candle somehow burning taller than before. When Ty finally lit the candle, he swore he saw something in the hallway mirror. It looked like a man. Not a shadow. Not a trick of light. A man, standing unnaturally tall, with long limbs and no face. Just a black shape that flickered like TV static every time the candle flame moved. They wanted to end the game, but there were no instructions on how to stop it early. The rules were clear: you play until 3:33 a.m. or suffer the consequences. So they kept moving. Every room felt colder. At 1:18 a.m., Mason tripped on something in the hallway, but there was nothing there. When he stood up, his paper with his name and blood was gone. No one wanted to speak. Something was wrong. The house started feeling bigger. The doors, which had once led to bedrooms, now opened into pitch-black voids. Jared opened the bathroom door and saw a staircase that hadn't been there before. They were losing track of time. Phones had no signal. Watches froze. Clocks spun slowly or blinked 12 o'clock over and over. At 2:44 a.m., Alyssa screamed. Her candle had gone out again. This time, it wouldn't relight. She was trapped in the circle of salt, shaking, crying. Jared tried to get to her, but he couldn't cross the hallway. The floor felt like it was tilting, stretching. Mason shouted from another room. He said something was following him. His voice was getting farther and farther away, even though he wasn't moving. Ty dropped his candle. It shattered. He vanished into the dark. Jared was the last one standing. Alone. His candle barely flickering. He sat against the kitchen wall, whispering prayers he barely remembered from childhood. Then, just as suddenly as it began, the clock on the stove blinked 3:33 a.m. The lights turned on. Everything was back to normal. The rooms were where they should be. The hallway was short again. Jared was alone. The police report, dated October 27, 2006, states that Jared was found at 7:12 a.m. by his parents when they returned. He was curled up in a fetal position in the kitchen, unresponsive. His friends were never found. He never spoke about that night. Never again. Jared now lives in a care facility outside of Indianapolis. Sometimes, nurses say he gets up at exactly midnight, holding a candle he made out of crayons and paper towel rolls. He walks to the door of his room, knocks 22 times, and whispers something no one can understand. But one nurse, who worked the night shift last Halloween, swears she heard it clearly. He said, he never left. And when she looked up, she could have sworn she saw a man standing behind him in the reflection of the medicine cabinet. Tall. Flickering. Waiting to play again.